Hi, this is 365801 and this is another year in BL review video for the year of 2024, and this is all about 2024 releases that I purchased. So this video is all about 2024 releases that I purchased in 2024. So new releases, I'm picking up the year they are released. I don't do this very often because brand new BL is generally more expensive and I don't always get great deals, and I'm supposed to be looking out for great deals. So if I'm buying them the year that they're released, they're usually a little bit more expensive. So I always do a little bit of a review on specifically the new BL that I picked up the year that they have been released. Now this is my 6th annual version of this video, so if you are interested you can always go back and check out previous years. I will obviously be showing some of the stats from previous years from 2019 onwards in this video as well, so you don't need to be able to get a full understanding. I will highlight some of the stats for you. I also want to say that I usually mention release dates as being a little bit subjective due to the fact that some things are released in North America before the UK, so the release dates are actually in November or December, but then they're not available in the UK until maybe the January or the February. This year has been such a mess for me making these videos. I've just decided to ignore that completely, and I'm just looking at what's written inside the book or what is on the website as the release date. That is it. That's all I'm going to use as my reference. I'm not going to go into specific release dates for the UK because that was a little bit too much more effort than I can manage at this time of the year. So shall we just get into it and see what I picked up? Now here is everything that I got in 2024 that was released in 2024. And it's such a big stack, I've had to zoom out quite a lot, which is the same thing that happened last year compared to previous years. I've usually had a lot more in the frame. This is all kind of squished in the middle because I had to zoom out so much. So yeah, it is a very sizable stack, and it's actually quite a lot compared to even last year. It's 45 2024 releases that I picked up, which is substantially more than any other year. But in terms of how many I picked up versus the amount I picked up overall, I got 45 2024 releases out of the 254 volumes that I picked up over the course of 2024. Now, I always do this and I can compare and contrast to all the previous years, and I did say I would be able to show you that, so let's put that up on the screen. This is everything that I've got for the last 5 years previously, so 6 years of data. In 2019, I had 25 2019 releases, and then in 2020 it was 19, 21 it was 20, in 2022 it was 21, so roughly around 20. I think 2019 actually, I'm quite surprised that it was actually 25, but yeah, around 20. And then in 2023 it jumps up quite a bit to 33, and then this year 2024 it's shot up even further to 45 2024 releases. Now, in previous years, I've wanted to see what this was as a percentage against the purchase total for that year. So I would divide up the total for the year by 100 and then times it by the number that I purchased of that year's releases. So here are the numbers, and you can see that in 2019 I purchased 25 2019 releases, but that was only 14.5% of the total that I purchased for that year. So I was buying a lot of books that were released before 2019. In 2020 it was 11.5, so even less. And in 2021 it was 17.5%. In 2022 it went up to 23%, which is almost a quarter of the amount that I purchased was actually released that year, which is actually quite high. And then last year in 2023, even though I purchased 33 that were released in 2023, it was only 20%, 1/5 of the purchase total for the year. Now 2024's is added and it's 45, which is still a much higher number, and it's only 17.7% of my purchase total, which means I'm picking up a lot of BL from previous years, things that are released before 2024. 17.7 isn't that much. It's obviously, as you can see, comparable to 2021. A lot more than 2020, but a lot less than 2022. Now, last year was the first year that I actually started dividing my purchases up by released year. And I gave a little rundown of the different years from 2018 back the way, and then every year that I've had my channel. And I thought it was really fun and interesting, and it gave me a little bit more insight into what I was purchasing. And I really do wish I had done it in all the previous years that I was making these videos. So I enjoyed it a lot. It is a lot of hard work, but I decided to do it again. So yeah, let's go through all of my purchases, but by release year. So here is everything that I purchased from 2018 or older, so 2017, 16, and so on. So these are the older or very often out of print titles that I picked up in 2024, and there are 38 of them, so more than last year, which is unsurprising in some respects. If you can see, there's quite a few sets there. We've got Boy Princess that I picked up back in January from Net Comics. I've got a couple of June mangas for Kazuna. There's 2 copies there. We've got some Doki Doki, which I assumed I had stopped collecting, but because this full set of 4 was on sale and I managed to pick it up for a really good price, I think it was like £16 or something like that. I thought, why not? Because up to that point, I just decided I wasn't really that interested because it's supposed to be shoujo. And there's a few in here, like the other net comic there. I don't think they are actually BL. I think they're probably more shoujo, but because they were released by these publishers, I thought I might put them on my original list, and then I scrapped them from there. So I did end up picking them up just because they were very, very cheap. There's other publishers there as well, the DMP, obviously some old Tokyo Pop, and some 7Cs as well. And the big one at the top there is Yaoi Generation, so the only 5 volumes with that as well. So yeah, there's quite a few little sets there, and 38 volumes. I didn't think I'd be picking up that many, and I don't think I'm going to be picking up that many from now on. There's not too many older printed, released series or volumes that I'm interested in. There's just a few more now, so yeah, I think this number won't be as high next year. Now, last year for 2019 releases, I picked up only 4 volumes, and this year I didn't pick up any. So I kind of feel like 2019 is my benchmark year. That's the year I started my channel, and so this is when all my stats started, and I just feel a bit odd when I don't have a single volume from that year, which maybe is a good thing because it means that I've been working towards picking up everything that I need and want. But yeah, there was nothing from 2019, which I thought was kind of interesting. So last year I picked up 13 volumes from 2020, and this year I've picked up 10. So a little bit of a drop. There's only really 2 in this stack that are I 100% classify as BL, and the others are either LGBT or they're kind of BL adjacent. And one of them I was really desperate to get hold of, and that's Cast Heaven Volume 4. And for the longest time, since 2020, the year that we all remember, the year that manga reading really became very popular, I have had difficulty getting this single volume, so I couldn't read the rest of the series. Every time I tried to buy it, it was very, very expensive. So I was really happy that Sci-Fire got reprints, so I was able to get it for a very good price. So Cherry Magic is the other one there. I'm not really pushing myself to get all of the Cherry Magic ones. They're very slim Square Enix ones, and they're very expensive in the UK compared to everything else, and so they're not always my first priority. I know I need to, but I only really ever get them when I see them for good prices, and this was a good price. And the other ones there I've added to collections that are part of series, so it's the series that I'm collecting. I might continue collecting some of these and get the other volumes as and when I see them for good prices. Now moving on to 2021. Now last year I picked up 34 volumes from 2021, and this year it's 30. And most of these are ones that I got for really good prices. Same as last year actually. 2021 seems to be a good bargain year because it's been far enough that a lot of these were secondhand and very good deals. I think the In the Dark ones, which are the previous incarnated version of Peach Flower Houses in the Dark, which I don't think was a brilliant translation. I think it got slated a bit, which is unfortunate. But I did pick these up, I think, for £8 each, which is pretty good. And BJ Alex, I got the first 4 volumes, and this was a really good bargain, I think. Basically, I think each of these volumes is going to cost me £30 to £40 each. And I think I got these for about £40, so they were pretty good as well. So yeah, I got the full set of Boys Run the Riot, which is great, and completed a few series, started a few series, and picked up just generally second-hand bargains, which was really, really good. I think this is a good value stack for me. Now, when we move on to 2022, this is a really interesting year. We do continue on with some of the bargains. We certainly did get quite a few second-hand titles for really good prices, but there's also a couple mixed in there that are over £10 or that are kind of a bit more pricey. The Peach Flower House Little Mushroom there, some of the Killing Stockings I think volume 2 was a wee bit pricier than volume 1, and some of the Danmei novels. Yeah, they were a little bit pricier, but generally everything else, because there is quite a lot of it, the total would be quite high, but most of this was secondhand and for good prices. Even the 2 volumes of our not so lonely travel guide. I didn't realise until I stacked them up that I'd actually purchased 2. So that's just how it was. Now, the amazing thing is that last year I picked up 49 volumes from 2022, and this year I picked up 49 volumes from 2022. I don't know what it is. I don't know. What do we take bets on next year? Do I pick up 49 volumes again from 2022? But I do think because some of them are farther enough away with 2024, a couple of years, that I'm able to pick some of these up for good prices. But yeah, some of them, maybe like the Danmei, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Salad Days, for example, I still think I got a good deal for it, but they are going to be more expensive. The Prose, I think, is really starting to hit the purse in that respect, and you can really tell that some of the newer releases are a little bit more expensive. So finally we go on to 2023, last year's amounts. Obviously I got 33 brand new, just released volumes in 2023, and for 2024 I picked up an awful lot from last year, and most of them were actually really good value, great bargains. There were obviously some, the Prose, the Danmei, they are the bigger trim size, full color kind of things. You know, these are the ones that are more expensive. And so they're the ones that have kind of hit the purse. And I did get an awful lot of them. I managed to pick up 81 volumes from 2023. But even just having 1 year or 6 months of a difference, I feel like I got a lot of these for good prices, £6 or £7, that kind of thing. And just a few there that I feel are a little bit more expensive. And those would be the Prose versions, the special edition final volumes of like Thousand Autumns. That's kind of a pricier one for me because I did buy it like not full recommended retail price, but it's still pretty much an expensive one. And The Warehouse, all 5 volumes of those were over £15 each, so they were pricey as well. But then I also got really good bargains, like Obnoxious Hero-kun, which I haven't read yet. I got that for a really good price. It's a huge chunky boy. So yeah, a lot of these, even though they are fairly new, they're 1 year old, I got a lot of them for either secondhand good bargains or from places like Sci-Fire on a big buying, like bulk buying, with a 10 or 12.5% discount on already discounted prices. So I did get a lot of these for under £7, which I'm really happy about because that was kind of the point. I always thought try and get things for under £7 and then you're getting a good deal. It's a bargain. So there are definitely some here that I've purchased. I'm happy to have them. And then along with the 2024 brand new releases, and some of those were quite pricey. Once again, Danmei Pros, and some of the older ones from 2018 or older that were hard to get and out of print and expensive. So that's, I think, where the money has gone in terms of how much I'm spending and where I was buying them, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is an interesting one. Getting 81 volumes from last year is kind of crazy. So just like last year, I thought I would put everything into a little list or table to show the percentage of each of the different years as a total for the 254 volumes that I purchased in 2024. I already said earlier in the video that for the 2024 releases, the 45 of them, that equals 17.7% of the total. And 2023, I bought 81 and it was 31.8%. In 2022's, they were 49 and that was 19.2%. The 30 from 2021 and that was 11.8%. And 2020's, they were only 10 and that was 3.9%. Nothing from 2019. And then the 2018 or older, which does span quite a large time period. There was 38 and that was 14.9%. And actually, when I look back at last year's video, it's almost the same. It's very similar in terms of the percentage wise. Like the previous years was around 30, the year before that was around 20, the year before that was around 10, the year before that was I think 2 or something. Yeah, so it's interesting to see that the percentages are very similar, like a pyramid in terms of going down. But when I think about how much money was spent in each of those percentages, there was a lot from 2024 and a lot from 2018 or older, mainly out of print or prose. So yeah, it's interesting to look at the percentage breakdown. Now, I'm really happy that I've been able to do this again. It is quite a lot of work moving all these books around, getting them all organised and hopefully getting them right. But it is quite an interesting thought process to go through. And I feel like last year's buying habits seem to have kind of merged into 2024 as well. So I feel like this is the kind of buying and spending that I'm going to be doing going forward. Like I said, I don't expect to have too many 2018 or older releases next year. I hope that I'll get a couple, but not too many. And I feel like going forward it will be, fingers crossed, maybe a few more secondhand, maybe just in the last couple of years. So maybe some more 2023 and 2024 releases that I pick up in 2025. So if we go back to the main purpose of this video, which is to look specifically at 2024 releases that I purchased in 2024 and whether or not I read them, I think we can organise the stacks a little differently. So if we stack them into read and unread piles, just like I did last year, I put all of the read onto the left and all of the unread onto the right. And it's almost the exact opposite of last year, which is disappointing. So last year I had a big tall stack of red, and this time I have a wee dinky stack of red. And I had a very dinky stack of unread, and this year I've got a big tall stack of unread. So it doesn't bode well for the percentage wise from previous years. In fact, it's going to be absolutely abysmal. So I purchased 45 volumes, and of those 45, I read 18. So it's not a great number, and that means my read to unread ratio is 18 read and 27 unread, which is pretty bad. I'm not happy about it. I also like to put that into a percentage of my read versus unread of just 2024 purchases, or just the yearly purchases. So I usually put that into a table. And as you can see, the percentage is, it's actually 39.99999%. So 40% of the 2024 purchase. So this is supposed to be fancy, shiny, exciting, new releases, and I'm only reading 40% of what I'm buying. So, and I'm spending a lot on them. So this is really bad percentages. It's the worst it's ever been. It's the worst. It's another worst. So in 2024, I only read 40% of those years' releases that I purchased. In 2023, I had a great year. I read 73%. And it was mainly because I was really focusing on trying to get that number down and reading what I own and reading what I purchased. And I kept mentioning it throughout the year, like, oh, I gotta read these. And I just wasn't reading them. So yeah, 2024's reading has been pretty terrible. When I compare to previous years, 2022, it was 57, which is the next worst year. But I actually took some positives from that, because the purchases that I made in 2022 that were non-2022 releases, I had roughly the same amount of read versus unread percentage. So I was really quite happy with that, because it meant that it didn't matter if it was shiny and new, I was reading it. So I haven't done that percentage yet for the other ones. So maybe that is the case. We will find out. So yeah, fingers crossed. I read more of my backlists and older titles and non-2024 releases, but I don't know if that's the case. So yeah, 2021 it was 60, 2020 it was 68, and 2019 it was back to 60. So if I could get it back up to around 60, I would be really happy. But the fact that it's down to 40 means that I have a lot of excuses to make. Now, the reason why I probably did read some of these are for readathons, and I don't think I took part in as many readathons in 2024 as I did in 2023. I think I really pushed myself in 2023 to take part and to read as much as possible. So yeah, looking at this very meager little stack, many of the Sublime titles I did buddy reads with Katie or Bizarre Individual. A few of them were part of readathons that I took part in when I think was my own one. Yeah, there's like 801 readathon as well. And then of course there's 1330s. So I feel pretty poor that this was the stack that I've got, and it's not very many. Even the last one there, the Other Worlds Books Depend on the Bean Counter, Volume 4, I just read that for fun because that's probably one of my favourite reads from 2024 anyway. And it was last thing in the year, so it was a December release, or December purchase, and I could not stop myself from reading it. I had to read it. It was one of the last things I read in 2024. Very happy to have read it. I was super excited. I can't wait. I know Volume 5's come out, so I need to get it. So I'm excited when I get that one as well. And yeah, Mobsters in Love as well. That was a purchase I made in May, and I was quite happy to read it straight away. It was fancy and new. So yeah, there's been definitely readathons have helped in terms of getting these ones read. But I am also a little bit interested in the unread and maybe why I haven't read them. So in previous years, I've been able to understand why I may not have read something that I purchased in the year of its release. And I, first of all, had 2 reasons, and then last year I added a third, which I felt was appropriate. So let's go through those 3 reasons. Firstly, it was a November or December purchase. If I buy something in January, I have the rest of the year until the 31st of December to read it, and that's loads of time. So technically, I should be able to read everything I buy in January. That is not always the case, but I have the time to read it. Whereas if I buy something in November, maybe at the end of November into December, that whole time period is so busy with parties and Christmas things and family get-togethers and work nights out and things like that, that generally people don't have too much time for reading. I did a really good job last year of actually reading in December. But did I read the things that I purchased in November and December, or did I focus on the things that I purchased earlier in the year? So yeah, November and December purchases generally don't always go read. Except for if you're The Other World's Books Depend on the Bean Counter, because then you're definitely getting read. The other reason 2, is that you're part of a series. Maybe you're the 2nd volume and I don't have volume 1. Maybe you're the 5th volume and I don't have volume 5. Or maybe you're volume 13, like last year, of Hitorijime My Hero, and I have not read the rest of Hitorijime, which moves on to reason number 3, which is that you are a large read and you're kind of imposing and makes me feel a little bit apprehensive about starting because it's going to take me forever. So yeah, I feel like prose and large reads was a good add or addition to these reasons last year, and I feel like these are the 3 main reasons that I may not have read something. So I don't know. Let's go through everything on my unread pile and see if they actually correspond to any of these reasons. Now the pros stand out straight away. All of the danmei that I picked up from Rosemay, they're stunningly gorgeous. I haven't unwrapped them. They still look perfect and pristine. And I do want to, especially because they're all volume 1s. So I could read them and I probably should have, but I did not get round to it. I do want to read some of them. I especially want to read 2 of them for May because the buzzword is the word to, either T-O or T-double-O. So I can read a couple of these prose ones in May, if hopefully I've not got too many other plans on. A couple of them as well, Yes, No or Maybe, that's volume 3. I have volume 1, I do not have volume 2, so it's part of a series and prose. 1000 Autumns, the same again, it's volume 5. I only have volume 1, I don't have the other volumes, part of a series and prose. Then A Dangerous Convenience Store, it's part of a series and I don't have the other volumes. Now, Super Morning Star, I did have the rest of these volumes and I have since read them. That was the first thing I read in January. So I have read it now, but I didn't read it in December. So unfortunately, it's an unread, even though I now have read it. But it was part of a series and I needed to make sure I had all the volumes. So I could have done it, but once again, by the end of the year, it was quite late. Now the other one on that list is Breaks, which is a graphic novel. And I did actually start reading it and I tried, but I didn't really get into it. So I haven't DNF'd it. It's more of a soft DNF. And I feel like I could read it and I should read it just at a different time, and I just didn't have the right feeling for it. And that might be another reason I add to the list for next year. Like I tried and I'm going to give it another go, just wasn't for me at that time. So then we've got this huge stack of mostly Tokyo Pop, and most of them were December purchases. In fact, a lot of them were. One of them that wasn't is Hanger Volume 4. Now, it's part of a series, so you think, oh, are you missing a volume? No, I'm not. And did you get it in November and December? No, I did not. Do you have any excuse? No, I do not. Because I've already read volumes 1, 2, and 3. If I wanted to, I could have just read volume 4, but I wanted to reread volumes 1, 2, and 3. And so I didn't get around to it, which is a shame. The other one there is Candy Color Paradox, and I don't really want to reread, But then I thought, oh, I'll give it a go and just read volume 6, which is a previous one. And I couldn't understand what was going on, so I knew I'd have to go back and reread all of Candy Colour, and I just didn't want to, because I swore to myself I wasn't going to do it. I love Isaku Natsume, but this is my least favourite of all of her works, and it's the one that's still being published. Like, she's published so many amazing, amazing manga, and I just can't really get into Candy Colour Paradox. It's really bad. Anyway, that was another read along part of our read along for Sublime titles as well. Now another one is The Finder Volume 13, which I haven't read volumes 11 and 12, and I needed to pick them up, so I did. And then there's a one shot. So I have no excuse for not reading the one shot there at the top. And it's a Nagisa Furuya, who I absolutely love. But I just held out on reading it. I was going to read it for a specific purpose, and then I didn't get around to reading it, and then I thought, oh, I'll have to slot it in some other time instead of just sitting and reading it. So it's something good to look forward to reading in 2025. A one-shot maybe for the next one-shot readathon, which would be good. So I'll add that to my TBR for April. And then the last one there at the top is another one in a series that I didn't get around to. So I feel like I have excuses for most things, probably not Hanger or that one shot. I probably should have been able to read it at some point, because it is just a Nagisa Furuya fun one. In fact, I read half of it. I did read half of it. I haven't read the whole thing, but I did pick it up and read most of it. I just didn't finish it. So it is in the unread pile. But yeah, Hanger is one that I could have and probably should have made some effort to, because I was so excited. It was on my anticipated reads for 2024, and I didn't get round to reading it. So that's a bit of a disappointment for me. But the rest of them, I feel like I have good excuses for. Now, I will be going through a lot more percentages in another buying versus reading video when I focus more on my non-2024 releases. But I thought I would just post this here because I have done the numbers now. So 2024 releases read was 39.9999%, so 40%. But my non-2024 releases read percentage was 43.5%, which was just slightly higher. And the overall purchases, if you add the two together and kind of do your maths, is 42.9%. So 40, 43 and 40, almost 43. So it's kind of around the 40 mark, which I will compare in the other video, previous years as well. But it does show that it didn't really matter if it was a 2024 release or not, whether or not I was going to read it. It just had the same percentage. And I was quite happy about that 2 years ago, mainly because it meant I wasn't being picky about it. But I think it more likely just shows me how unmotivated I was to read in 2024. So it's kind of an indicative of the kind of year I had rather than anything else. So before I wrap this video up, I just thought I would go through, just like I did last year, some of the reasons why I may have picked up a few of these specific 2024 releases. And I think it's really interesting that I picked up my one digital title back in January and I read it straight away. So I have 100% read rate for my digital. Woo-woo. I think I always do, actually. But that was the only thing that I purchased that was 2024 release until May. And that was because I went into Forbidden Planet and ended up spotting Prince Barry, which is one that I needed. And then I thought, well, if it's 3 for 2, then I'm going to pick up a couple of others because they are full recommended retail price. If you get 3, you get the discount. So they were £8.32 each. So I got Mobsters in Love and My Mate is a Feline Gentleman Volume 3. So I was able to read those 3 volumes, which is great. I also picked up Breaks, but I got that from World of Books and that was only £5.44. But I think most of these I picked up because they were bargains. I managed to get quite a few from Sci-Fi, so with all the discounts and things, I think they were all like £6.49 for most of the Sublime titles. Um, but one of the big costs was something that I actually purchased back in, I think it was like November or December in 2023, and I didn't count it because I hadn't actually received it, and that was the Link Click Nirvana and Fire Here You Are Day Off and Something Important, which was my Kickstarter, and because we also had shipping added on, it was quite pricey, so the whole total was like £91.26. So each volume, and that's me including Something Important, would have been £18.25, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, even just one of these volumes is like £15, maybe £16 recommended retail price, and it is quite expensive. And it was disappointing because I was one of the last ones to actually receive the Kickstarter. Everyone in America, North America, got it. It was in the shops in North America. Then people in Europe got it, and it was in the shops in Europe. And then even in the UK, it was in the shops before I received it. So I did feel a little bit let down because the cost was quite high, but I wanted to support this new venture and this new company. And then, of course, they were like, yeah, and by the way, Link Click, we're going to do a box set. But everyone had already bought like volume 1 or 2 from the Kickstarter. So it was kind of a bit disappointing in that respect as well. So I would like to get the rest of Link Click, but it wasn't really my favourite. And that's the one they're doing the box set for. And I'm wondering about the other ones. Like, is there much point in me picking them up, or will eventually they do box sets for everything else? But of course, I don't think they will unless people are buying it. And I don't know if I want to buy it until I know if there's a box set, because I've already been burned with, is it Twilight, Out of Focus, and Hitoriji My Hero. I don't want to buy all of the volumes and then, you know, near the end someone comes out and says, oh yeah, we're going to do a big box set of it, because it's kind of disappointing. But yeah, so I wasn't the most thrilled. I did enjoy Here You Are and Nirvana and Fire. Day Off was lovely, and Something Important was good. Link Click was my least favourite out of all that, but then I haven't watched the animated version either. I did get bargains for My Oh My Atomy-kun, £7. That was pretty good. And then Nan-chan, How to Survive as a Villain, the other Rosemary ones, they were all $25.99 or $29.99, so they were expensive. They're full price, recommended retail. I'm happy that we can get them through Traveling Man, but they are kind of pricey compared to everything else that I usually buy, which is, not very. I did get Scarlet Secret this year just because that's out of print. So if you haven't picked up a copy yet, go and get yours. I had to pay quite a bit for mine, £9.57, because I wanted to get it and I wanted to make sure that I got it before copies ran out. And I also paid £17.59 for my Thousand Autumn Special Edition. So I'm not really sure if I want to continue getting special editions for things from Seven Seas. I'm not really that bothered. I'd rather just get it cheaper, so maybe I'll wait and leave it. But everything else, I think, pretty much was like £6, £7. Dangerous Convenience Store and Yes, No, or Maybe I got from Amazon, and they were cheaper than they would have been, so like £9 and £8. But the next expensive ones were Mask Danshi, which I got from Anime International, I guess. And that was pricey because of the shipping costs as well. It meant that Mask Danshi was £21.66, which is just too expensive. But unfortunately, they don't sell them here in the UK. And so the only way for me to get things like an Anime International English version is to bulk buy them all together and hope that the shipping levels out, and maybe get other things I want from the Japanese store. Because the American store doesn't sell it to the UK, so unfortunately it's going to cost me a bit anyway. It's kind of the same kind of thing with Kinokuniya in the USA. They do not ship to the UK. In the USA, for Kinokuniya, they sell Futekia ones as well, or Manga Planet ones. So I don't have any of them yet, so they would cost me a lot too. So yeah, it's generally, most of these 2024 releases, especially the December haul that I had with all of those Tokyo Pop ones, they were all like £6, maybe £7 something. I had some really, really great bargains. The cheapest one I think I got was the white and blue between was £4.60. So that was pretty good. So yeah, I still had some great bargains, £6, £7, but some of these were quite pricey, and the ones getting from abroad generally means it's going to be a lot more expensive. So yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be able to read more of what I buy in 2025, and hopefully I'll be able to read some of these titles that I haven't read in readathons, because that seems to be the way to do it. If there's a readathon on, I should be joining in and trying to get things read, because I'm not getting it done just on my own. So thanks so much for watching this. I have got another buying versus reading video planned where I look at all of my overall purchases and I go month by month. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you get notified when that one goes up. Thanks so much for watching to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find these kind of videos interesting. I really enjoy doing all of my stats and getting percentages and checking out my numbers and things and adding that to the years that I have accumulated. So fingers crossed I do a much better job in 2025 than I did in 2024. But I've got a couple more videos still to go. Thanks so much. Take care, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!